Hi, we are recording just as I get everything set up. Nice. Let's try this again one last time before I lose the plot. I'm about to cry. I've tried to do this so many times. Anyway, let's get started. Hello, guys. It is so nice to see you all. Welcome, welcome. Before we actually get started, I am going to do a book sleeve tutorial. So this lovely book sleeve, I'm going to show you guys how to make it. I am making mine in different colors. But if guys do want different colors, please do let me know. But this is the Dark Earth book sleeve. So it is really, really nice. It is lovely. These guys can be changed depending on the size you want specifically for your book. I can make it custom sized for you guys. Just let me know. But before we do get on with the tutorial, please, if you guys do enjoy this video, if you do enjoy this tutorial, please do consider giving us a subscribe or even a like, a comment, a share, because it does help the channel grow. And it just means so much to me to see you guys actually enjoying this. Is it useful? Like, what is it you enjoy about this? What do you think I should do to improve? It means so much to me. So please do consider subscribing and hitting that notifications button. I do a lot of, oh my, I do a ton of shorts, and they're on a good few times a week. So yeah, I will also leave all the shop description, all the links, all the socials, my Patreon and my Twitch in the description down below, so you guys can go check that out if you want to. Again, no need for you guys to follow if you don't, but it is very helpful if you do. So thank you so much for your time. Moving on. Oh my goodness. Let's get started. Let's get cracking. So this is the book sleeve that we're going to be working on. You've got your lining as well. I'm not actually going to show you how to do the lining, as that is going to take just a wee bit too much time, unfortunately. You can do the lining with a back stitch if you'd prefer, so hand stitching, or if you know how to use your machine, crack on with it, go with it. You will get the lining as well, because that's going to just make it look a little bit nicer, cleaner and tidier. I have a cup of tea there. Nice. I have already started one. I started this actually the other day when I tried to do this video originally. I got some corrupted files, too large a file. I had so many issues and I was just like, raging. But yeah, so as you can see, I have already started. I have made a boo-boo here. I had made a boo-boo when I was sewing along this way, realizing, wait a minute, I had done it a 4 stitch length. This is now a 5 because it's going to work a little bit better. So everyone who doesn't like odd numbers, I am so sorry, but you either need to do a 3 or a 5 to make this pattern work. So yeah, I chopped all of this up that was originally sewn into the canvas. So I got a pair of scissors, went underneath and went snip, 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 snip. A bit annoying, but I will use this fluff to fill out some wisp keychains, which Patreon, if you guys want to have a look at them, they are coming very soon. Patreon will be getting exclusive access to behind the scenes. You'll get all the new goodies first beforehand, and you will get exclusive discounts that are not available in the shop to use in the shop. So there is a good point to using my Patreon. But anyway, we are gonna get started. So this is a different material from what I've originally made my book sleeve in. This is more flexible. It's a little like, I wouldn't say weaker, it's just as strong, but it's more suited for book sleeves. It's not gonna break under the weight as easily. As you guys can see, it is fraying at the sides, so please do be careful when you are making this project, as you guys can see. So I'm actually going to show you side. As you guys can see from this side, we have a little bit there, and then we've got a nice good edge there, and then I've sewn my thread in place. Now I could have put my thread into this bit as well, but I've decided against it simply because when I finish this, I'm going to want to do a whip stitch around the lining and this, sandwich them two together, and I'm wanting to whip stitch around it, which I will show you how to do on another bit. I am going to show you how to do that. But I've wanted to keep a little bit of lining, so I'm not going to compromise my edges too much. and therefore I'm going to get that nice clean crisp edge. Another thing about this fabric is when you're sewing and you're pulling it just a little bit too tight, you're going to notice your fabric kind of warping slightly. Just give it a good tug like so, and that will help just straighten it all back out, and it'll force your thread to like thin itself out a little bit and make it like nice and flat and straight and give it a good edge to work with. Baby girl is currently having a nap. I'm actually going to get a bit of tea. I have my partner's grumpy mug and I am actually drinking the Wee Tea Company, which is amazing. I highly recommend it. It is so good. It is not sponsored. I'm nowhere near that stage yet. Ah, delicious. Always hits the spot. So we're going to get started. I am going to do I'm going to do a color, I'm going to do a black, just to guys give you a little bit of an idea. I'm going to grid it out. As you can see, I've already started my grid. I've got one block of black and I've got a second block of black. Okay, it doesn't matter where you want to put these black lines. That is completely up to you. Each individual book sleeve is always going to be unique to how you guys want to make it, because whether you like the 5 stitches or whether you prefer the 3 stitches, it is completely up to you how you do this. So on this one, I did 3 stitches. So they're smaller, they're more compact, and I think they look, personally, I think they look better. But that's just my say-so. Okay, and this one, I think it looks better on this fabric with a 5 stitch instead. So it's just a little bit bigger, a little chunkier. But yeah, that's how it's looking. That's the back side as well. This is the whip stitch. You are going to get like little gap, like as you can see, little gaps here. This was my first one, so as you can see, I've actually broken some of the fabric originally. This is where this is all happening. That is going to happen eventually after wear and tear. I do use this a lot. So yeah, that is it. And it was also my very first machine stitch. So as you can see, I kind of screwed that one up just a little bit. Just an itty bit, a little bit. But we're going to get started on the actual sewing now. So thread up. Oh, actually, before I start, if you realise you do need some more DMC thread, the thread that I've given you isn't enough for your kit. DMC, you can actually go on their website or a local haberdashery as long as they have tapestry yarn. Don't go for your embroidery floss because while it's pretty, it's not thick enough. Okay, so you want your DMC tapestry wool, and it'll say what number you're using. So we're using 7404. That is the color, that is the number specific to this color. Okay, very specific. Each color has its own little number. The black has noir and the white has blanc, as it is a French company. It does take, if you are ordering from them directly, it does take a few days. Last time it took 15 days to get to me, and I did make a huge order. So yeah, it will take a little bit of time. So just some patience. But I do use my local haberdashery a lot. Right, we're gonna get started. The juicy bit. Apologies, so much chalking. Okay, so we have gotten started already, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and map it out so I can start it from the very beginning and you guys can see how to do that. So just give me a second. So I'm going to need to go about there. I could go up to this one because that's going to be a bit closer and it'll be a bit easier for me to manage. So I think I'll do this side actually. Yeah, I'm going to do this side, because it is going to be a bit closer and I'm going to see what I'm doing just that little bit more. So I'm using my needle as a basis, a wee line of what I'm actually doing. So I'm needing to then stitch into this one. So there is 2, 2, 2, 2, right, yeah. And I should be doing this right. Fingers are crossed I am, because it'll be embarrassing again if I'm not. So this is how you just start. Just select where you're wanting to start and pull your needle in from the back. sew it up. Make sure you have a tail. You always need a little tail. Okay? And then if you're going to do 3, count the very first stitch you've made. So this one's 1, 2, 3, and then go in for number 3. If you're going to go 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you've got 3 empty squares in the middle, and then you've gone into the 5th one, and you're just going to push it through like that. And that's you started. Go up to the top, again, pull it through. So what you've done is you've now caught your tail, you've got an anchor on that tail, and you're just going to get started like that. You're going to go down and sew it beside it. And there you go. For the next stitch, you're going to go into the middle. So this is why an odd number works better than an even, because you've got number 3, which is smack in the middle, and it's going to look better because then you've got 2 on this side, you've got 2 on that side, and then 3 is like right in the middle. If you did it with number 4, it wouldn't actually work, so you're going to have a missed square somewhere. So 3 or 4. No, 3 or 5, my apologies, my brain. Okay, so we're just going to pull it through. This is what I mean by pulling your fabric as well tight, because I'm pulling on my thread to tighten it up to make sure I got it through. And I'm also pulling on the fabric at the same time, so I'm getting that warp. Like you can see it warping already. I'm just pulling on it just to straighten that out and to slow that warping down. And then I'm hitting this one now, so I have done it right, which is good. Obviously, when you guys first start, you're not going to need to worry about that. You're just going to need to stitch wherever your heart is content. You can start with the colors if you want. You can start with the black if you want. I personally start with the black because I find it easier. So I've got a square up here ready to get started. I've got a square there. I've got a little bit one left. I've got one getting ready here. I'm going to have another one here done soon. And I'm going to stitch along. And what I'm gonna do is I'm actually not gonna stitch all the way along. I'm just gonna stitch until this black thread is gone, and then I'm gonna stitch another black thread here, and I'm gonna get started then with another color. So once you come to the edge, so it doesn't always work for this, but once you come to one of these, you're gonna put your needle underneath. So you're not actually wasting too much of your thread. You don't need to make another tail, and there you go. That is it now, secure and ready for you to continue. You're going to go in at the bottom of your black, same square, and you're just going to keep doing. Remember, you're doing, if it's 5 or 3 stitches, just remember which one you're doing. So I'm going to give you a close-up, as close as I can get, okay? This is what I've got. I'm going to find my square where my black is. There it is, all right? You can see my needle coming through. I'm going to pop, pull, just gently. Don't pull it too much because you could actually damage your fabric and you could actually rip. So that's you then losing that square. And there we go. Now this pink, I'm going to come in. Okay, so I'm going in on the thread on the same square that that pink thread is originally through. So I'm not going to get much of a resistance, but it's going to be a little bit tighter, and that's there. And then I'm going through again. So I'm going to show you that pink square. There we go. I'm pushing that pink out of the way, pulling it through, and then I'm going down 4 or 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or you can go down 4. If you don't want to count the one you've just went in, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's you got 5 in total. Whatever works best for you, how you remember what you're doing. I don't always count 5, I count 4 just because it's a little bit easier for me. And it gets to the point where as you're working through this, that you'll actually stop counting because you'll start recognizing the pattern and where, like, wait a minute, that's where the stitch is supposed to be going. There you go. My voice sounds a little bit funny. I have actually just been recovering from the flu. So if I do sound a little bit weird, my apologies. My sincerest of apologies. I'm just been very under the weather recently with the flu and whatnot. There we go. I hope though this video reaches you guys and with everybody being very well, everyone doing good for themselves. Because it's actually getting quite nice around here. Like we've been having horrible weather recently. Very cold, very windy, very rainy. And all of a sudden It's actually sunny. Currently sitting in my conservatory with my heating off because I am roasty toasty. So as you noticed, you're going to get your thread looking a bit like this. It's not as nice, it's not as taut, it's not as wrapped. You guys can't really see it, but it's starting to separate. What that happens is just like your needle spin, yes, you can see it, you can kind of see it spinning. There you go. Replace it. Because what it is it's just as it's getting used, it's unspinning itself, so it's starting to look more like this, but what you want is that. You want that nice spin, and it's starting to become more straight and less popping, if that makes sense. I do like that because it'll eventually get like that anyway, because it wears down after a while. It is quite nice. Oops. There you guys go. So just keep doing this. So when I was originally making the first book sleeve, it did take me months to do because it was just one of those moments of I want to make something, but I don't know what I want to make. And it was just before like Lily could start crawling or anything, and I made some bookmarks. What else can I make that's book related? Because at the point I was reading Linda LaPlante. I can't even remember which one it was I was reading. The Red Delilah again, because that is one of my favourites. I was reading that and I was taking a few places with me and I wanted it somewhere to be like protected from, well, one baby stuff, wipes and whatnot. So I was like, I'll make a book sleeve, and that's where it came from. There we go. So you can, at this point, if you want, you can like turn and then start sewing up there. I personally prefer sewing along, so I'm starting to build the grid, and it just makes it a little bit easier for me personally. I will actually turn here so you guys can see that if you actually no, I won't do that just yet because that's going to get a bit confusing. So actually, I'll just keep sewing along. So see, this is what it's going to starting to look like. You're building that grid. So you're building basically where your other colors are going to go, and it just makes it a little bit easier. I always put one colored square in when I've got 2 lines done minimum, so that way I've got the size of the square I want. I can start getting the pattern sorted out in my head of what I want, and then I can start figuring out where I want every single one of my colors to go. So I am going to give you guys updates on this book sleeve personally. You will see it on my Instagram. I'll probably do some shorts. You'll see it on my TikTok as well and on my Facebook page. I'm very active on my Facebook page, so if you guys want to see some of the recent stuff or recent orders, go over there and have a look. But there we go. Just nice and gentle. Just pulling it through. I think this is a really nice hobby to take up. So please, guys, if you are making these, tag me on Instagram. Don't be afraid to tag me on TikTok or anything like that. Let me know what you guys think of this book sleeve kit. Is it good? Did you enjoy it? Oh, please let me see it when you finally finish it because I am so interested. I really do want to see them because I hope they're going to look amazing. I know they are. But maybe you guys want to do your own unique twist. I was actually writing the instructions for this originally and I got very confused with how I was writing it. It made next to no sense. I do eventually want to bring out instruction books on how to do my kits. Just at this moment in time, I think I might need to get somebody to proofread all my work and be like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. We're going to pull that through. So we're actually almost finished this black. I think I'm going to need a lot more black than what I originally thought I was going to need. But that's fine. There we go. Thought I'd give you guys a little bit of AMSR of pulling the thread through and that crunch. Ugh, so nice. Mm. If you do make a mistake, actually, I'm going to deliberately make a mistake here so I can show you how easy it is to fix. So if you do make a mistake and you, oops, sorry. I have you on my phone stand and I've just went ahead and battered it, so apologies there. So if you do make a mistake and you realize it quite quickly, you made one, so I'm gonna say so there, right? And look, I've made a mistake. Shouldn't be like that. What you can do, flip it over, pull your thread in the opposite direction, go back through the same hole you just came through, right? Okay, and then you're going to pull your needle back, and that's it, done. However, if you've done what I have done so many times in the past where you've sewed and you're like, wait a minute, I have made a major mistake here. Like, say one of these, say you've gotten all this done and you've damaged one of the grids like further down here, or you've made a mistake and it's not going to work. Like, this is an 8. Yeah, this is a block of 8 and you've ended up making one of them like a block of 7, which happens all the time. You're going to need to get a pair of scissors, okay? You'll need to flip it over. I do prefer flipping it over because it's a little bit easier to see. And then you're going to need to push your scissors underneath and then snip, 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 snip. It's annoying. It happens though a lot more than what people think. But that is a really good way of sorting out an issue. I do sometimes flip my work the wrong way round simply because I prefer working like that. So when I say the wrong way round, this is the front. I normally work from the back, or sometimes I work from the back. Depending on what I'm making, I find it easier to figure out where my next stitch is going to go. Not always, not always. If you also need to, and you're not too sure where the next hole is, put your fingers behind it and it'll create a shadow in there and it'll give you an idea of where you're going. Just make sure you get your fingers out of the way so you don't actually hurt yourself, because a needle under the nail is not comfortable. It's very painful. I've done that twice now. And now that we've got less on the black, I'm not going to be able to do any more stitches here. See? So what I'm going to do is I'm pushing it underneath, and I'm going to push it as far as I can, flip it up, push it up, and then I'm just going to pull that through, and then there you go. So I've got a little bit of a tail there. I'm just going to cut that. There we go. And that'll be used in one of my Wisp keychains. And that is slowly forming your grid. Okay, that is slowly forming the grid of what you want to do. I'm going to put another black in this little corner here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fill this black in, and then I'm going to put the colour in this one. Actually, yeah, I'm going to put the colour in this one, and I'm going to sew that all up so you guys can see that. I say that as I grab my green. So say Noir there. The temptation to make a really long, like, unravel loads is ridiculous. So I would normally sew with all of this, but because I'm doing a tutorial, I'm not going to do that because that's going to damage everything. I almost sent my tea flying. That was silly of me. Not paste. Not good. So we're gonna go wiggle, 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 wiggle. Wiggle. So I think the hardest part of this entire project isn't actually the sewing part. I think it's actually the whip stitch at the end. So I am going to show you that after I've done this coloured box. So I've got my black, and I'm going to go in this one. So I'm not going in the first one, I'm going in the second one this time. I'm going to pull it through. Got my fingers feeling for that tail, so I don't need to keep flipping backwards and forwards. And I'm pulling it through gently so I can actually feel where the tail is. With the ending at least. There it is. There we go. So we're gonna start. So a good thing when you've actually started putting in your grid is you can kind of line it up with these ones at the bottom so you know exactly how big your stitch is going to need to be already. And that's quite helpful. So we're going back in and we're pulling it along. Going back in. And then I'm gonna, oops, then I'm gonna nip up to this one. There we go. And pull. And we're just going to continue on like this. I am going to have another video out next week, which is going to be more of a drawing video, because I want to get some magnet designs done from my potion bottles, and I would love your opinion on it, guys. So if you are interested in seeing that, please do let me know down in the comments, because it does actually help me let me know what you guys are interested in. If you want to see me making my wisp keyrings, again, that's another thing. Just leave a wee comment down in the description or down in the comments, because that really does help me out. There we go, another one. Okay, I'm going to start sewing it like this, so I'm not damaging my fabric. Oops, I say that as I damage my fabric. There we go. So another good way of doing it is by putting your arm down on your fabric and you're pulling up at the top. So you're not actually touching the edge. What you're doing is you're pulling gently and you're actually creating like this taut tightness in your fabric, and it's making it easier. I do personally think I'm going to have to get myself like a frame and making things on it that way, because that way it'll be a bit easier handling these kinds of patterns. Not just that, I won't get a weave in the fabric, because I will have the same taut tightness throughout the entire place, which will be really good to manage. Go, but it is very quick to do. I hope you guys can hear those birds just cheeping away. It's amazing. We live out in the country and I can hear it all the time and it's so nice. There we go. Just like so. So now I'm going to get my blue. Actually, yeah, my blue. What I'm going to do is I am actually going to leave the black like that. You don't need to do it if you don't want to. You can continue sewing on. If you prefer, you can continue sewing along, which is fine, like continuing more of your grid. I mean, if that's what you guys want to do, that's what you guys want to do. I'm not going to do that right now, because I really do want to get another colour in here so you guys can see. And I'm going to do my blue. Sometimes when you're pulling these threads, you'll notice like a little knot has come out. Don't tighten the knot, just take your time trying to figure out how the knot has happened and then untangle it. It's normally very easy. It's normally just like it's looped slightly while it's getting wrapped or something. So it is very easy to just untie. Very, very easy to untie. I'm gonna push that through, give it a little wiggle, wiggle. A wee wiggle, 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 wiggle. Okay, so this is 8 long by 8 by 8. Okay. You guys can make it 9 by 9 if you want. You can make it 10 by 10. I personally think if you're doing the 5s and you're making a 10 by 10, it's just a bit too big. But that is just my personal preference. I was playing around with the size the other day, trying to figure out what was going to work and what wasn't going to work. Yeah, I'm definitely going to need to do something about this. This is getting annoying. So this does get annoying when you're getting more into the middle and it's like it's not on the edge. You're kind of needing to gather some of the fabric and just pull along. And it is annoying because you're kind of playing around with your canvas, but there's not really much more you can do. What I used to do is I would flatten it, putting it out on my desk, and then I would sew it on that way, and I would put where I was sewing over the edge, so it was easier for me to kind of see what I was doing. There we go. And there we are. I used to do it like that. I still do it like that when I'm just working away. However, I do not have the best light upstairs in my office or class studio, so I can't do that there. And I'm actually hitting my phone stand. Lovely. There we go. So here is how you're just adding in the colour. We're just going to sew this edge here. What I'll do is I might not sew in the full box, but I am going to just show you how to make your corners, because that might be a little bit confusing for some people. Because I remember when I first did it, I got so frustrated over certain things, and it's like, how do I do this? And the amount of times I had to watch like a video back, mainly on Instagram, because there wasn't actually a lot of Bargello done on YouTube at the time. So I was watching Hello Bargello a lot on how she did things, how she actually even threaded her needles and everything. I know it sounds so silly, but something so simple stressed me out dramatically. So as you guys can see, I've actually got my black encased in this, and that is my fault. I wasn't paying attention. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna pull it through. Gonna pull it through. Come on. There we go. Yeah, I have sewed this in. Yeah, I've sewed that in. Oops, my mistake. There we go. So I've gotten the bit that was sewed in accidentally, and I'm pulling it through so you guys can see where I've actually caught it. That is my own fault. I wasn't paying attention. I'll sort that out later. I was saying not to do it, and that is why you don't do it. But no, I decided I'm gonna be fancy. I know what I'm doing. I clearly don't know what I'm doing sometimes. There we are. I'm not wanting to touch this edge too much because that's the edge that I've mainly been using, and I'm keep damaging it. Honestly, I was expecting snow for some reason. No idea why. It was getting cold enough for it. But we've not had a good snowstorm for a while. But then again, the guys over in America and Canada, they had a massive snow and ice storm. Oh my goodness. I hope, honestly, everyone is okay. And there we go. Such a shame. Someone's at the door. Apologies. 2 seconds, guys. 2 seconds. Oh, hello. Sorry about that, guys. Oh, ow, my kneecap. Ugh. Honestly, Ross isn't awake for the door right now, and Lily is in bed. He is sleeping for night shift, so I have to answer it. So apologies for that. And thank you for sticking with me. We're going to push that through, pull along. Okay, so we're up. Go with you. So we're coming up for the edge now, or for a corner. Okay? So normally, when you're doing your straight edge, you're going to go into the middle. And you're still going to go into the middle, okay? But this time, instead of sewing that way, you're actually going to sew this way. So this is how you're making your turn. Okay? Exact same process as if you're actually going to continue on this line. Instead, you're going to go down. Okay? Exact same process. And this is where you might want to start counting how far along you need to go. So I'm doing 8 by 8 and I'm currently on the second set. I could not understand how guys who are crocheters figure what they are doing out, because that just looks very confusing. And anyone who is a crocheter, you are amazing. You have such a patience, or a knitter for that. You guys have got patience that I could not have. There we go. Push that through. So right now I've got 6. I just need to do 2 more. So if you are doing this as 3 by 3s, so your little stitches are going to be 3s instead of the 5 like I have, you might get away with having your little boxes a little bit bigger than what I've got right now. You might want to do, say, like a 10 by 10. I mean, go for it by all means. It will work. It will look really, really nice as well. I just personally don't think it's going to... I just didn't want to use it on this one. That's what I'm trying to say. 4, 5, 6. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I'm on number 8 right now. I thought I was on number 7. Okay, so we've done number 8. It's really easy as well just to continue sewing along and just being like do 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 do, because I've got that black there. Very easy to just continue. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now I'm going to cut back in. So what I'm doing is I'm actually going to go up to the top here this time. Where's my needle? Go on. There we go. Okay. I'm going in here. So I finished down there in that corner and I'm starting up there in this one. And now I'm pulling that through. And I'm going to go down. So there is my ending. That's number 3 there, 4, and then 5. And I'm just going to push that through. And because I have this black here, I'm just going to sew until I meet the black. Until I meet the other side of the grid. Just going to continue along. So it's a little bit easier when you actually have the black to meet up to, because you kind of know where you're going. It's when you don't actually have it that it's a bit like, I need to question what I'm doing, where I'm going, how much have I done? You need to go back and count it. And honestly, that's okay. Take your time, because the worst thing you can do is honestly is you've over sewed by maybe 1 or 2 stitches and then realized you might be able to fix it by simply just dethreading, removing the stitch, or the most frustrating bit would be complete deconstruction, which is not fun because you've done like say 40, 50 minutes of work and then you realize you're out by 1 stitch. 1 stitch can make all the difference. So do constantly check your work, take your time, figure out how you want it, and it will work. Like I do actually have notes sometimes of when I'm working on a new piece of how big I actually want something to look. I've got a little diagram of like, okay, this is where I'm wanting everything to sit. Uh, wiggle wiggle the eyebrows for some new stock coming in place. There we go. And that is me now turning that corner. Okay. I just did what I did again over on this one. So I had ended on this and I went up there and I sewed. A little bit easier. Just follow then this line and there you go. It's nice and easy. Most of what you're going to be doing for this kit is mainly going to be this, which is by far very therapeutic. I had gotten 2 meters of this as a just in case because I wasn't too sure how much I was going to need for all the other kits. So I've got loads like ready and waiting. And it was one of those things of, what do I do with some of it? So I was like, you know what? I'll make myself a new one. But I'm making this one just a little bit different than what I have done. I've made this one so I can hold a mini sketchbook or a mini notebook with some pencils and pens. Yes, I do have the plans to make a pencil case. I'm gonna pull. Don't know if that was my neighbours or if that was Ross talking there. Oh no, that's the other half. He's on the phone. He must have had a phone call, bless him. There we go. So we work in the same place and we're just both of us are working towards like getting out of there because we've been there. Ross has been there for 10 years and I've been there for just under 5, gonna be 5 this year. And it's gotten to the point where it's gotten too toxic and you're just a number there. So I am slowly working towards the goal of getting out of there. So that is how you actually sew the canvas, okay? You do your blacks, you do the black, sew it along, and then you create your grid and then you put your little colors in which then block it out and then you can continue going back in there with another black making more of your grid and going along. You can, when you're doing this, go all the way along that, put, say, a colour there, and once you figured out where it stops, put a black in and just go all the way along so you're forming more of your grid. What I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to show you guys how to sandwich it. So when you are finished, 2 seconds, there we go, and I will get my black. What I'm doing is I'm actually using a different fabric for this. I'm using my plastic canvas because it's just going to be a little bit easier to see. Thank you, my dear. Right. What we're going to do is this is your canvas, all right? You've sewn it up and you've attached your lining in place. You've done your back stitch or you've done your machine sewn. I am not comfortable nor am I confident in showing you guys how to do that because I might tell you something wrong. What you're going to do is I'm actually going to show you on these clean edges, is you're going to take your two sides and you're going to smoosh them together. So you're going to have your lining on the inside, you're going to have your pattern out on the top. And what you've done is say, this first square is non-existent, okay? Ignore it, like this one here, it doesn't exist, right? You're going to go in on the bottom, okay? That's the one that you want. What you're going to do is you're going to just go ahead and sew. So you're going to go in, you're going to miss the top because that's the one that's getting frayed, that's the one that's getting damaged. Okay, and you're going to pull. Okay, and it is going to be, oops, and it is going to be a bit tough, and that is going to happen a few times. So you're going to pull, and you're going to get a little tail. Okay, you're then going to have your tail on one side. So it is going to get a bit wobbly. What you're then going to go do is you're actually going to go back through that square you've just made, okay? So you might not actually see where you're going and you're going to pull it again, okay? Now that there is a secure, so you're just going to start doing the whip stitch, okay? I'm going to go into the next one. You might miss some squares by accident, and that is going to happen. There we go. I am just now going to whip stitch this together. I thought this would be a bit easier for you guys to see because it's so much bigger. So that's what it's going to look like. I'm going to do another one. I'll do another two. Okay. But this is how you're actually going to connect it all together. You're going to whip stitch it along. There you go. And that's what you're going to get. And you're going to keep going along until you reach your corner, and then you're going to go round and you're going to, when you get to the opening, you're only going to do one side. You're going to whip stitch that. And then you're going to go around the other side, and then you might do your other opening at the very end, like your other part of your opening, and that is actually fine how you do it. So you're it's going to look like this. So see, I started in this corner originally. I started my whip stitch here. As you can see, I've got a bit chunkier, right? I've missed the very first stitch that I had. Like here, I've missed the very first square, okay? What I've done is I've went into where my colours are. I've actually used that as my lining, and I've whip stitched all the way around just to make it easier for me. So that way, the bits that are getting frayed, I'm not touching. That's going to be weaker. It's just going to come apart and it's not going to look as nice. So I've done it all along. Okay. I have got an accident there. When I got to the top, I decided which one I wanted to do first. So you might end up grabbing some of your lining as well. That's absolutely fine. And you're going to then whip stitch along this side. Right? Get all that bit done. Then you're going to come to the edge here again in the corner. You're going to whip stitch that together. And then you're going to whip stitch all the way along this line. All the way along until you get to the end. You're going to do a couple of stitches in here just to secure it, make it nice and strong, make it nice and tight. And then you're going to put your black thread through there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to come back up and then you're going to whip stitch all the way along this edge again. And then that's it. That is it, genuinely finished. The biggest part you're going to work on is this. This lovely, beautiful bit here is what you're going to work on. To sew on your button, it is very easy. You can take a little bit of embroidery floss, which I highly recommend doing, not the tapestry thread, because it is unfortunately just a little bit too chunky. Okay? You're